we have a new bombshell report in Newsweek, which claims that Republicans are more and more agitated by Donald Trump's problems and by the progress of the Russia investigation, which daily is tightening around Trump and his family rather than loosening, to the point that Los Angeles Times reporter Eli Stokoe said on MSNBC yesterday that Republicans are privately telling him that if Mueller has more wrongdoing by Trump than just these felonies he directed Michael Cohen to commit, that if they obtain information that suggests Trump approved of wrongdoing or even had knowledge of wrongdoing, that they may dump Trump to save the Republican Party. Check out what Eli Stokoe said yesterday to Nicole Wallace on MSNBC.
But when all the facts are laid out and people can see the investigators' work, I think it's going to be very problematic for this president. And there is some understanding, I think, inside the White House of just how dark it may be getting, especially in terms of conversations, private conversations that people there are having with Republicans on the Hill who are starting to be concerned, Republican lawmakers who have a huge role to play in this if it goes forward, are starting to tell me privately, some of them, that, you know, if there's obvious evidence, the bottom's going to fall out. They're not going to be able to stand by this White House, and that's a looming problem for the president.
So this is a reporter claiming it. There are right-wingers writing this off as merely made up, but this is not a pundit, right? Eli Stokoe is a reporter for the Los Angeles Times. He has serious sources in Washington, D.C. He has no reason to make this up. The risks to him professionally to just making this up are huge. And more importantly, he's not really saying anything that's hard to believe. Privately, on the condition of anonymity, Republicans are telling him, we're aware of how bad this is. We're aware that if it gets bad and it gets worse, simply standing by Trump no matter what comes out would be bad for us. Obviously, right? Who could fault them for that? They care about self-preservation. They don't really care about Trump. Trump's not even been a Republican most of his life, and he has no particular loyalty to the Republican Party beyond it being the team that he chose to play on right now as President Trump. We would be expecting Republicans to be saying this. We stand behind Trump up until the point at which it becomes damaging for us and for the party, and then we're going to bail. And interestingly, Stokoe said during the same MSNBC appearance that the Giuliani-Trump plan right now is to keep attacking the investigators. We've said this before, Pat, and we'll say it again. I don't remember who it was that tweeted, Sarah Huckabee Sanders maybe. When you're attacking FBI investigators, you know that you're in trouble. If your strongest tactic is to attack the people doing the investigation, you're not in a strong position.
It sounds to me like attacking investigators is a sign of weakness, a sign that they don't have anything, and a poor argument, really.
What we're seeing is the development of Trump from a sort of political curiosity into a political liability, which was predicted pretty early on in Trump's campaign, that this is what it would become. And there may even be some way in which Republicans, as they see the stock market become more and more erratic, as they see the jobs numbers fall further and further behind expectations, as they see the world laughing at us day in and day out, there are some Republicans who don't really care about Trump, who might be hoping that whatever Mueller comes up with is really serious and unequivocal and definitive so that they can say, listen, I'm a Republican and I like the president, but if he did something that bad, then he just has to go. Republicans may be hoping that Robert Mueller provides them cover to dump Trump. Now, what would it mean to dump Trump? Because that could take many forms. One would be related to what we talked about earlier. If the House does move to impeach Donald Trump in the new Congress, Republicans in the Senate could just get on board, right? They could vote to remove him, although for some of them, for many of them maybe, there would be political consequences to doing that. There are slightly more subtle methods that Republicans could employ. For example, they could communicate to Donald Trump that Republicans will not be supporting him in his reelection campaign. Instead, they're going to be supporting a challenger. Maybe Trump should consider not running and allowing someone else to run. These are all extreme scenarios, but we're increasingly sort of operating in a universe of extreme scenarios. They could negotiate. If you drop out of running for reelection, we won't impeach you or look to prosecute you. after you're out of office. Many scenarios, but the fact that any of this is even being talked about means we're already starting to approach what could potentially be the end game phase of this national nightmare. Or maybe Trump just gets reelected and serves 8 full years and then leaves office and never faces any consequences. That's also a possibility. What do you think? I'm on Twitter at @DPakman. The show is on Twitter at David Pakman Show, and we'll be back after this. Today's program is sponsored in part by Blinkist.com/Pakman. If you've not already heard about Blinkist, it's amazing. It's an app for your phone, tablet, or web browser. And what they do is they take nonfiction books, popular nonfiction, critically acclaimed nonfiction. They condense the book into a 15-minute audiobook. You get all the most important information and insights from each book, but you can soak up the entire essence of the book in one sitting. I've listened to a ton of books on Blinkist. One recent one is Robert Reich's new book, The Common Good. Also Bunk by Kevin Young, useful in preparing me for the pseudoscience miniseries that we're producing. And if you are a David Pakman Show viewer or listener, you can get a 7-day free trial by going to Blinkist.com/Pakman. If you're watching on YouTube, use the link in the video description. After the free trial, if you like it, you can get the full access to thousands of condensed audiobooks for about $5 a month. That's BLINKIST.com/PAKMAN.